Okay. So hello, my name is Alenka Malko-Pranic. I'm coming from Slovenia National Building and Civil Engineering Institute, ZAC. I will show some cases of successful research projects which went into the application or at least been demonstrated in a real industrial environment on the topic of the sustainable technologies in construction. Not just building construction, but also on road construction. So just a little bit, I'm from, as I already said, I'm Slovenia National Building and Civil Engineering Institute. In the short, it's called the ZAC, which is a little bit easier to remember. And I'm personally coming from the Laboratory for Concrete, Stone and Recycled Materials, where we are dealing a lot also with sustainable materials, technologies and services. But not only in our laboratories, but also in other sections of our institute. Just as a short, we are mainly dealing with the right part of this circle, which was introduced by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, but also I think it's not, the construction is not dealing only with the right. There are also some examples when we are going to the left side, like for example using excavated soil for recycled soil in the agriculture, or using some biological materials in the construction. So circular economy in construction is dealing also with both cycles. I entitled my presentation as Closing the Loop in Construction Sector, but actually I'm talking about cross-sector resource recovery, so I suppose it would be better be into the construction sector, because in construction sector we can use a lot of the industrial waste, we can use some municipal waste, so different type of waste can be used as a secondary raw materials. For these reasons, these secondary raw materials, I'm very happy that we are again using this word with the introduction of the circular economy package, because I think it's very important for the construction sector. We can use a lot of these materials in construction. Something which sometimes is confusing, the first slide is the circular economy really recycling on steroids? In some way yes, in some way not. It's more as to challenge to think about it. But this slide is meant to show that with circular economy also something else, not just because of the circular economy, but something what is important when we are using secondary raw materials. It's that we must think about how to put together different types of legislation. On one point, environmental legislation, on the other point, the construction legislation. And here I'm coming to this first project, which is called ReBirth, which was awareness-raising project, and which we were actually trying to do. And I think that in Slovenia now, I think we have a quite a good understanding of this, how to combine these both legislation and how to put the recycled waste, secondary raw materials, into the market as a construction product. So this is very important. Also in the package for the circular economy package, it is mentioned that building legislation and administration procedures is very important. I would also, today we already had this, a little bit about this conversation. Recycling is not something, or let's say circular economy is not something old in the construction sector. This is the roadmap to resource efficient Europe from 2011, which is talking about that it's important in construction of buildings and infrastructure, high resource efficiency level. Then it's mentioning life cycle approach, and also near zero energy and near zero energy. It looks, if we look at some European project or also in Slovenia, if we look, a lot of things is done on the energy efficiency. With the circular economy, I think it comes again this, that not just energy efficiency, but also material efficiency. It is very important, and we have to put it in our minds. And we have to see what are their impacts during the whole life cycle. This is another one, construction product regulation from 2011 is already talking about the 7 how do you say, basic requirement for the constructions is that we have to think about sustainable use of natural resources when we are building. And yes, it's not about just energy efficiency, and also about resource efficiency and using whatever we had at hand. It's about local use also, very important, and long as it has suitable characteristic suitable for intended use. So when we were doing the ReBirth project, it was awareness raising project. It was about showing the best practices. There was always a question, well, what we find out during the project is that this mindset about using recycled materials or stepping into the circular economy is very important, and that you need kind of the first build capacity, doing capacity building, as was already mentioned today. And this circular economy approach of the resolve of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation is, for example, one way how the industry, how the company can start to think about going to the circularity. So now about something about ReBirth project. It was promotion of the recycling of industrial waste and building rubble for the construction industry. It was a LIFE project, partially financed by European Union and partly by the Ministry of the Environment and Spatial Planning, and also project partners. ZAC was coordinating. Also involved was Slovenian Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Then one SME company, PKG, Claro company. This was for the digitalization and let's say the more as a support company. Meyer McCann as our PR partner, and the company Structum. This is another SME project company. Our main objectives was that through increased and better recycling of industrial waste and construction demolition waste in the construction sector, through this awareness raising, we will impact some of the also the material percentages of recycling. We've done a lot of things. Here are some a kind of the little roadmap of our project, doing the manuals, mobile exhibition, demonstration movies, conferences, workshops, raffles, etc. But I think the most important for the target audience were the practical demonstration of the project. And this here is now connected with some of the technologies which could be transferred. These are technologies already available on the market, but it needs knowledge and know-how how to use them. For example, one example is use of carbon steel slag from the steel production in road rehabilitation. This was done in Podbrdo, where the steel slag was used for these upper wearing courses, and construction companies or whoever was interested could actually see how this was used. I'm just showing here that in 2011 we didn't know much about the circular economy, but these are things which are now popular, like we are talking about industrial symbiosis. The second demonstration was selective demolishing and use of recycled aggregate. This was in Maribor, in Pesnica, in Starska region. And again, we are talking about selective demolishing, which is very important for recycling. We're talking about kind of the eco-design. It is important to plan how to demolish and what kind of materials you will get out of it. Then the third one was cold in place recycling. In road construction, here again you can see this demonstration, and there was also the fourth one, which is not shown here, which was the cleaning up the illegal dumping site and use of that C&D waste from the dumping site. A little bit about the life cycle assessment, because all of these demonstration actions were also supported by life cycle assessment analysis, which were also published in scientific important magazines like International Journal of Cleaner Production. And maybe this one is important when using the steel slag, carbon steel slag. We also made some scenarios about the different environmental impacts, and you can see that we have also some limit delivery distance where the conventional scenario can even have larger benefits than using recycled materials. So this is very important to know also when you're using recycled materials. Also the same was done for the cold in place recycling techniques, and here the benefits were also doing scenarios, but the benefits were all the time greater. We done something good, it looks like, because we also got an award for one of the best environmental project, which was finished in 2015, which we are very proud. And now I would just like to remind you on something what will be published in our in ECCA catalog. This is RusaLCA project, also LIFE, which is talking about demonstration of the nano-remediation of the municipal wastewater and its reuse. Water reuse is also important in the circular economy and also connected with the construction sector. This is a real demonstration built in the municipality of Šentrupert in Slovenia. We are using the the nano iron, so-called green chemical, and just to show some picture how from the wastewater you can come to the water of the quality of almost drinking water, which is now also used for the production of concrete. And also not just water, the waste from this nano-remediation and remediation of water is used again in the construction sector as a composite or like a concrete, which is quite nice reddish color. And also you can see outside one example of a smart specialization project, which is called the Total Cycle, which is also part of this work that we do. Here I would like to read all the people who were doing in these two life projects, ReBirth and RusaLCA, and I would like to thank them all in this moment, and this is all from my side. Thank you.